Welcome to Fargo Talks Fargo, a podcast on the FX television series about Zeus and his angry sons.
That's right.
No, it is. Okay, good.
Yep.
Mystical. Danger! Not that mystical.
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
I get weirder every time we do this. Well, how have things been since yesterday? God, we're doing back-to-back days today.
Yeah, let's do a podcast on a TV show today. It went so well yesterday. That TV show is Fargo, Season 5, Episode 5. We're halfway through-ish, probably.
The Tiger.
Narrated by the lovely Jason Schwartzman from Season 4.
Yeah, they're definitely driving home this tiger, lion, animal, cat business, aren't they?
They sure are.
Not that we don't mention it enough, but...
If you didn't get it, they're making sure you got it by Episode 5. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's about tigers and lions and bears. Oh my, there was a bear in this episode.
Oh, you did catch that?
Yeah.
On the rewatch?
Yeah.
Okay. There is one thought I had, and I can't, and I apologize. Sometimes I read a note, and then I don't mention it. I was thinking, though, about the overall series. It's so interesting, the UFOs, the mysticism, the religion, all of those. And I thought, they always seem so crazy, but at the same time, it's like, are they really that different?
Yeah.
Like religion and mysticism and things in the sky that you don't understand. I don't know. I'm not trying to make a giant sweeping thing about it, but I just mean to the average person who isn't like kind of like born and bred in the world of any of those things. I think, I don't know. How is it any more different, weird, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, no, they actually aren't that different, and it's actually a popular subject right now with all of the UFO, UAP, NHI disclosure talk that's going on in Congress with David Grush. That's bringing up a lot of if you just even click on one of those videos on YouTube, you're going to go down a rabbit hole. The recommendation engine's going to send you into a whole world of religion and aliens and how they are so closely intertwined. And Fargo did the same thing many years ago. The TV show, by the way, and it's a fascinating subject. I mean, there's a woman who has translated the Bible directly from the original scripts, and she's talking about how there's all claims of aliens and stuff, and that when it was translated by the Vatican, they changed it over to like angels and stuff, but in the original descriptions, it was more like alien-like creatures. Pretty cool stuff.
There's a couple things I didn't get to the bottom of, so I also hope that people will tune in. Yeah, send us an email. The second rewatch for me, I just really noticed this kind of starkness of Lorraine being alone in a bunch of shots. Mm-hmm. She's alone at her desk, and then she even has a flash to her, she's in the hospital, but she's alone there in her own way. And then there's this cut to her being alone in her home. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, what an interestingly lonely world that she lives in, though.
Yet she makes sure to advertise that, she's married. She's Mrs. Lyon. She's correct. She corrected people in this episode to say, no, I'm actually not alone. Look, I'm Mrs. Yet the picture that's painted for us is quite a different story. And we haven't seen her husband since like the first episode.
And it's a very different marriage than Dot and Wayne have. I really truly do believe that Dot loves Wayne. The way she hugs him and just needs him for a minute in all the chaos is, I think, probably one of her most raw feelings and things that she has going on that it's just, for me, it's 100% believable.
Totally. And we know that she's his protector, but they made it very clear when she laid in front of him with a bulletproof ballistic vest on.
Right. I also noticed for the first time, I don't know how, that everything around the word no is black and white.
Yeah. I noticed that right off the bat because that's my style.
Do you think it's a black and white kind of thing? She sees things in black and white, like there's not a lot of middle ground?
Sure.
And that the only color of her world is this no?
That and like two sides of everything. And this whole theme of everything being, of having like a yin and a yang or a two-sided backstory. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean. Everybody's like putting this face on and is somebody else in reality. Tillman is putting on this like constitutionalist, libertarian, freedom fighter guy who, behind closed doors has a bunch of kinks and smokes weed.
We all have a lot of things we're capable of being. I do like that, regardless of if you're a character that you learn to abhor through the show or not. Everybody has their own diversity.
Absolutely.
She's got an hourglass on the desk and a white and black feather. I could not quickly tonight 10 minutes ago, find out what kind of bird feather that is, but I do know that there's a spiritual side to white and black feathers about warding off spirits and things like that. So, or they represent a spiritual awakening. I don't know what that feather is my problem. Did you figure out what it was or not?
I do not. I am not a feather expert. I know we have feather experts that listen to the show, so I look forward to you guys emailing in and explaining the feathers to us.
Yeah, it's a white feather with a black end to it that also kind of, the black end is not straight across. It kind of comes in a V. Do tell us about it if you've got that at podcast at Fargo Talks Fargo. So that's The Office. We get the voiceover. Tigers, Tiger, the fiercest hunters on the earth. Any other big moments from you? I love the Calgon reference. That for me was that's my era, man. Hearing Calgon Take Me Away commercials, that's my youth.
Really?
Yeah, you're just young. You're just enough younger than me that wasn't your era, was it?
No, it wasn't. Nope. Okay, so this is a big episode for Lorraine, at least for me.
For both gals, right?
Sure, yeah. But I think we're learning a lot about Lorraine, and maybe we always have been, but she just really stuck out for me in this episode. I liked her strategy for Danish to get power of attorney is basically get Dot committed and then get her incapacitated so that her and her husband, Wayne, are both incapacitated, and that gives Danish and Lorraine power of attorney so they can start buttoning things up for themselves.
What do you think they're trying to button up? That's the only part I didn't understand. If Lorraine's the one with all the money, why does she need it? Does she just want more power?
Maybe she's just trying to make sure that Dot's name is like off of any sort of like trusts or like estate transfers or anything without Wayne being involved, and making sure that things are like more protected from Dot's grubby little paws.
I got you there. That makes I can see that. I just had a moment where I wasn't completely sure. And I just thought, wow, of course, right? Of course they're gonna. How should I word this? Of course, the woman's crazy, right? Mm-hmm. That's the go-to move. If a man does something, it's called one thing. If another thing, well, something easy to do is she's crazy.
Lots of toxic what is the word I'm looking for?
Toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity in this episode, as well as just like doofus men throughout and that's sort of a theme for the entire Fargo universe, is doofus men and strong female characters, but it goes over the top in this episode, and that's one of the themes I want to touch on a little bit later.
I mean, I feel like we're okay shifting ahead from Lorraine's office and the Walter Mondale West entrance originally. Can we talk about the bankers for a minute?
Absolutely. Rupert Cousins and Vivian Duggar.
The minute I heard the Duggar name, I just thought, ugh.
Ooh.
Sorry, Duggars. My note was, no Graves, she's the headliner, and they're not giving a woman her due respect.
Yeah, a lot of use of the word lady in this scene and throughout the episode. Yep.
A really great callback to early episodes of our show and Fargo, where Bob very kindly wrote in about Iliisms, where you refer to yourself in third person, and she refers to herself as Mrs. Lion at one point in the scene to them, which I thought, ooh, damn, good for you.
But again, correcting them because she's not Ms. Lion. She's Mrs. Lion. She's not alone. No, I'm not alone, guys.
I thought it was great that she also ordered like a meal for herself, and then she ordered them kids' meals, basically. I'm gonna have a Cobb salad, but you guys are like burger and fries people.
No cheese on the Cobb salad.
No cheese. Well, maybe she's lactose intolerant.
That's right. That's definitely coming back later, right, Bill?
Yes. She'll have.
They're gonna hang her up in the bathroom after sneaking some cheese in her soup.
I love that she also left before any of it ever got there.
Yeah.
Too priceless for me. No, but it was a really good thing. Mrs. Lion has 6 governors and something. She goes on like a diatribe about like telling them from the third person how powerful she is.
And even Graves, who's not even in the scene, gets belittled a little bit because they were expecting Graves, but no. Danish consistently gets demoted throughout this whole episode, and this is kind of the start of it for episode 5.
You know, he's not as clumsical now that we've got the word at the tip of our tongue, but he is kind of the butt end of Lorraine's power. The same way Gator is to Roy.
He has no power, and we saw this in the very beginning when they were in episode 1, actually, when we were first introduced to Lorraine, and they were both coming down the stairs, and she sort of scolds him for, ruining her entrance, and that's kind of been his whole story throughout the show. Danish has been just like put down, and he's constantly trying to get a meeting. Every scene he's like, we'll schedule a sit down with this. We'll have a meeting about this. And people are like, yeah, whatever, dude. We're talking now. And they just like bypass him and go to whomever's next to him. It's great. It's great seeing him just like struggle to want to be important. I can help kind of way, and he just can't.
For some reason, it struck a nice chord with me when she said, "Pipe down, pony boy." I was trying to decide if it was a reference to a Bruce Springsteen song or if it was a reference to The Outsiders.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Springsteen on that one.
You are? Okay.
Yep.
Did she call it a 5-gallon bank?
Boy, I don't know. I don't know what to call that.
Maybe I can't even read my own notes. No, definitely a great scene. You're right. Just to finally give us another glimpse into that she's not just a repugnant turd, but she's swimming in a pool with a bunch of crummy people trying to make the best out of it and not getting any respect for whatever it is. She's whether you like her business or not, she has worked her way through a lot.
Do you think we'll see Rupert Cousins and Vivian Duggar again?
My like rough guess is no. I think they're here solely to help us, and I think this is definitely just here to let us know that she's powerhouse in the worlds she's running in. And she doesn't let anybody speak, and she leaves. She's just like, when she's done saying something, she's like, I'm out, bye.
Should we head back to Walter Mondale?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we're heading back to Walter Mondale Hospital, and Dot has just overpowered the orderly, one of Lorraine's orderlies, and escaped from being strapped down to her little gurney bed, and she's just trying to casually walk. She also overpowered another nurse that walked in, which is where she got her garb. And she's just trying to casually walk out of the hospital. And she comes across this nurse station, and they kind of stop her, and they're like a little bit suspicious. And again, this ties into a theme of this episode where the dudes are always just these bumbling idiots, these aloof guys. And they're sitting there, and there's a guy and a woman nurse, and they're both eating some Chinese food, right? And the woman's like, you're not who's on that name tag, because I know who's on that name tag.
Yeah, she's like, you're not Sarah.
Yeah, and the guy's like, the guy has no clue what's going on. He's just
shoveling food into his maw endlessly, which, by the way, is exactly how I eat Chinese food.
I've never eaten Chinese food out of a box, and it's always been like a dream of mine. And I don't know why I haven't checked that off my bucket list.
Hey, well, maybe when you come here next week, we'll do it.
Because in TV shows, they're always eating it out of a box, and you never do that. Who actually does that? Maybe most people do. I don't know.
I don't do it at home a lot, but like late night out of the fridge, absolutely.
So, what's so interesting about this scene is right next to Dot is a poster that says, "The bravest thing you can do is ask for help," which is just like, I think this kind of goes to show how, Dot has been a tiger, from what we've seen. She's been very cunning, and she's been able to set traps, and she's been able to escape. But it's true that all she has to do is ask for help, and she's presented to people that could probably help her. And even in that scenario, I think we see a little bit of weakness from Dot, because she gets called out a little bit by this female nurse, and she kind of hits a wall and freezes and doesn't know how to get out of it. So she's actually like not that cunning in this scenario. She's not that quick to get out. We might be seeing a little chink in her armor right here.
She did start it with the most quintessential of upper Midwestern things, which is the weather.
Yeah.
How many awkward conversations you've had with, so, here might snow later.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it drives me crazy. It's either that or gas.
Did you look at the sign above the brave sign?
Yeah, it was like something about violence or something.
Yeah, it says violence, hitting, swearing, bullying, rage, yelling.
Like, don't do it. Even when she runs away from these two nurses, the guy's still shoveling food in his mouth and still doesn't get it.
The other nurse who's just like, are you really just going to stand there? You moron.
So we got a code gray in the hospital, which means combative person. I'm sure a lot of you already knew that. Yeah.
I didn't.
Yep.
Did you see that the nice lady she starts wheeling away with, though, is parked under a nice stag?
Yes. Lots of good paintings throughout this episode as well. I'm trying real hard to find my Die Hard reference in this episode. I can't say that I did unless you count the fact that there's an elevator in the episode, and there's an elevator in Die Hard. I'm still keep trying on that one.
I'll give you one.
Oh, really?
When she's first on the gurney in the early scenes and at the hospital, when they're wheeling her out, her feet are wrapped up in bandages, full on, and they're very visible. So there you go. It's there.
Okay.
It's there. I want to help you. I'm here for you.
I'll accept that one. We kind of already used the bloody feet up, but
they're still there.
But they're still there. That's true.
We've already mentioned the tiger, but we keep bringing that up anyway.
At some point, Hans Gruber is going to just pop through a doorway in full song.
Right.
Anyway, how'd you like this little interaction between Lorraine and Roy?
It was really satisfying, I think. The first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, okay. The second time, I was like, fuck. It's good.
It is so good.
Here she is again, sitting across from another goofus dude, and just makes me go, yeah, she just is not having it. When you really get down to it, I'll just cut to the real chase. It's the things Roy is fighting for his right for. It's just the scene stealer is you want all the stuff, but none of the responsibility. There's only one thing that has that, and Roy is like the president, and she's like, no, a baby.
Yep.
So good.
So good. You want the freedom with no responsibility, man. Only a baby has no responsibility, and he's fighting to be a baby. What a great way to put it. She says the things that I want to say all the time, and maybe I just do.
You know, if we stay with part of our theme, though, about people and mirrors and reflections of yourself and other things, I thought the one note I did right, I said Roy is power meets religion, and she's power meets money.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their own way of expressing why they have the right to power.
Mm-hmm.
He explains it as God and the things he's owed as a man under the banner of religion. She does it because her money earns her respect and politicians on speed dial and all those things. But they both have some vein that leads to the same thing for them, which is the power to be in charge, the power to say what's what, but the turn for them both is that they're opposed to each other based on their genders, so to speak, or at least what I'm inferring to be that.
That's good.
No, what were you going to say?
Well, it was a little bit off topic, but
that's our show.
I found it interesting that they both have a tie with this Vivian Duggar guy, the man with a woman's name, as Tillman put it. So Vivian Duggar was one of the guys in the bar that owns the 5 Gallon Bank, and Roy had a run-in with him in a Lady of the Night a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm. I do think we got a good payoff that I talked about. It's just I knew it. I knew she was too young to be with Roy, and
yeah, this is pretty disgusting.
There was, just other quick points of just like the grossness of Roy. Married June 3rd, 2007. Didn't dig into the date yet, but I'm going to still. 2 years and change, basically, he said, and then she's gone. So I was like rough mathing this, and also we did get an email from I'll shout out to Mark, who did some quick math too, and was like, clearly he thinks Gator is the first wife's kid, which I think he's right. Just based on the age of Gator, he's just, unless she was like had a baby when she was 15, I don't know. Oh, that's sketch too.
I don't know. They might be brother and sister too.
Oh, gross. So the ranch thing. So if he married her in 2007, he called it like 2 years and change. But if she showed up at 15, so it seems like maybe she left pretty quickly after the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing about the horrible thoughts, he totally pulled it when he says Mexican rapists, right? And you're just like, ugh, I know who that guy is. We don't even I'm not going to mention his name.
Yep. And they're just passing Dot around like this little poker chip. He claims to have ownership of her, and then Lorraine's like, well, actually, it's been 7 years, so actually my son owns Dot now.
Even just like the minutia of like after 7 years, a person's presumed dead, so she's Wayne's property now. But I think, does she believe that, or is she just speaking his language? Because that's what you do when you're in that guy's, when you're standing in the swamp with him, you got to just speak the lingo.
So she's saying that technically Nadine's been missing for 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so Nadine is gone, but Dot's alive. And that is true. According to the Social Security Administration in the United States, a person is presumed dead after 7 years.
Really?
And then you have to prove that they're not dead if they're not dead.
Goodness.
So you just got to make it 7 years and you're free and clear. Free sovereign.
Let me get on that.
Yeah.
Should I move to South Dakota, do you think? Or do I go like Montana Freeman for this thing? Or
I think you go to Stark County.
Gosh, that sounds horrible. Let's talk about, we visited briefly about this on the thing, the whole can't trust a guy who's named after a pastry, and then he meets Scotty, and he said, well, he's a muffin, and you've got a boy's name, and he says, what next, a monkey with a hat? And then he does the smoochy lip kiss to the...
Yeah, that was just nasty.
I didn't catch it the first time. Did you catch it on the first watch? I just thought, what a dick.
That was a little bit racy, even for the show.
Yeah.
But Danish continually getting belittled. I love it. He's belittled by Lorraine. He's belittled by Roy. He's belittled by his own security guard. Who he writes the checks for. And then he's belittled. You see him in the background fighting with Deputy Olmstead. So it's like the guy is like just constantly trying to prove himself and just keeps getting like whack-a-mole.
Oh God, right? Yeah. He's constantly being beat over the head with people who don't know that he's competent.
Yeah. Poor fella.
I do want to know how he ended up with the one eye, but I guess maybe we won't.
I don't know. We might.
We also find that Roy says they're going to Plan B, and we haven't gotten much background on Bowman yet, but boy, Gator gets back-seated, or passenger-seated, I guess. You stay here. And then I'm the law.
I'm the law.
Sure you are, bud.
These guys are just henchmen.
Yeah, I don't like this. I've got the cool badge. And he's just sitting there vaping his way about, mumbling the whole time. And then the feds arrive, and he's like, I'm going to save the day. Jordan Seymour wants his Jell-O and broth.
Jordan Seymour Butts wants his Jell-O and broth. That is a great name for a book. It's great that we see this really annoying little fella here get put in his place not once, but twice. Gets overpowered by Dot, and then gets overpowered by the henchman right after. Like this.
Yeah.
This poor guy just wanted an enema. He just wanted an enema. That's it.
He needs it. Did you catch the line, though, where she was just freaking on him, that she said, "Why are you all so angry?" And then something about like, well, whatever happened to Grace, and, pretending you're so nice, but I know what you really are. And I kept thinking, I can't decide if it's another commentary on men or if it's a commentary on Minnesota nice, that it's actually not as nice as you think it is. But yeah, she just she chokes poor old Jordan Seymour out, and there he goes. But I think this is also somewhere around this time is when the do not hunt the tiger unless you want the tiger catching you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I just wrote down, that's some foreshadowing, in my opinion, obviously.
Mm-hmm. I like how the narrator goes into say only a tiger shark is a more dangerous foe. Or any shark, really. Of course, a shark would suffocate in a hospital setting. How good is that?
Yeah. Boy, they throw away lines that you're like, oh yeah, he's not all together. When she asked him about, let's get you to the bathroom, and he's like, I just went. Poop came out. The child in me was so happy to hear that phrase.
Mm-hmm. Amnesia is so fascinating to me. The fact that you can not remember how to say certain things, or not remember how to tie your shoes, or not remember who you are, but you know how to say things like poop came out.
Yeah. We end up seeing that the FBI bumps into Nadine, there's the tiger shark coming, and eventually we cut back to Deputy Olmstead at Lorraine's, and it was the first time I noticed in the panel on the right-hand side of the screen, her left-hand side, there was a beautiful ornate panel, and it had peacocks on it. So it's the first time we've seen peacocks in Lorraine's house, and we've seen peacocks in Roy's house. And I think this is where it sort of drove home that point for me earlier, that they're doing this whole power through religion and righteousness and God and power through money. And they're both peacocking the living shit out of their roles. What did you think about the whole conversation with Indira at Lorraine's?
Well, yeah, I mean, Lorraine's trying to hold Olmstead's debt over her to try to, elevate Lorraine's status, and make sure that Olmstead knows who's in charge here. She also makes some threats, about, you're going to have all this debt, and when you die, that's going to be passed on to your children and things like that. And I mentioned this in the hot dish, but that is actually not true. And like you said, it's complicated, but it's not that complicated. So don't let people try to fool you. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says that unless you're a cosigner, you are not responsible for that debt. But debtors will try to make you think otherwise. Like if you have a family member die, they're going to call you. They're going to be like, hey, you actually owe this money, when in fact you don't. And in fact, that is actually illegal for them to do that. Yeah. So know your rights, people.
The thing I thought I said last time, maybe I didn't make it clear. The other people in your life, if they haven't signed it, are not responsible, but your estate is.
Right.
They can collect it from your last worldly remains. So even if Sharpie dies and leaves me his vehicle, but yet he has an outstanding credit, the creditor is able to come after your estate. But we already know that Lorraine is beyond this, right? Because she has things like trusts set up, and those can live outside of many things. Don't at me. I'm not a lawyer. Just, yeah. She's kind of flogging her with her understanding of things and shaming her for.
Yeah.
She talks about it's like 90% of Americans, and it's like, oh, so you're better. I'm not an animal, and she's the zookeeper. And I just thought, boy, she goes from being like fun and cool, powerful to you're a turd.
Yeah, really interesting little conversation there. A couple of them from Lorraine, but yeah, telling Olmstead that she's this animal in a cage, and almost like, convincing her, brainwashing her, because eventually, what does Olmstead say? She's like, yeah, I see the cage. It's like she's been hypnotized, but not really. I mean, it won't last long. She's just maybe playing into Lorraine's manipulation or making her think so, because Olmstead is strong.
She's super strong. I think the reason she's just going along with it is she's like, lady, I can eat shit with I can eat shit with the best of them, and your shit is no different than anyone else. I think whether or not she can manage her finances is beside the point of the type of person she is, and I think that's what gives her the confidence to just sit there. She has a half like I'm listening, half disdain look, doesn't she? Yeah, she ain't gonna have it. What do you think they were trying to give us with this whole Danish thing, though, about showing the ID?
Oh, man. It's just amazing. Like, nobody recognizes this guy.
He's got a fucking eye patch on.
Not in the sense that they don't recognize him. They don't recognize his authority whatsoever. It's amazing. He's leaving, and the guy asks for his ID. That's what's so good about it. He's not even coming into the property. He was already there, and he's trying to just leave.
Maybe it's a statement about stupid man with gun. Doesn't know how to truly protect things.
Yeah, well, I think that is part of it, because all of these men around the property with guns, and they still couldn't keep track of little Scotty, who just like wanders off.
Yeah, the worst perimeter ever.
Yeah. She's like right in the middle of them all and just like walks away.
But that's also just TV, and people are like, what?
Yeah.
We finally get a glimpse of Deputy Olmstead's home, and there's God, he's like the Don Chump of this season for me, right?
There's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah.
He is the Don Chump of season 5.
Yeah, out there just banging away, trying to do his best, and nope. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and what this dumbass doesn't realize is that 2 people have been making themselves at home in his home for the last few hours.
They had breakfast for dinner.
Yeah, Dot and Scotty have made coffee, made dinner, hung out for hours while this guy is swinging away in his garage with no realization whatsoever that strangers are living in his house. Just another goofus man in this episode. I liked the Bambi forest scene wallpaper that she's got.
Wasn't it? There's Bambi, a little bit of Bambi action there. There was a fox. There was something else, and I thought
there's a rabbit.
Man, whoever got to help dress these up got to do some really cool wallpaper budget. If you ever do come to Fargo Moorhead and you want the most kick-ass wallpaper that I know of in town, it is or look it up on Instagram. Look up Harold's on Main in Moorhead. And they're very famous for the 2 different wallpapers in their 2 bathrooms. So many pictures in that bathroom. I've heard people in the bar go, oh my God, come to the bathroom with me and take a picture. I've taken a picture in the bathroom.
And just for the record, Harold's isn't a place where you can go buy wallpaper. You're just saying it's a bar with cool wallpaper.
Yeah, there's a wallpaper store that you need to go to and go into the bathroom. Anyway, nice pickup on the paper. Scotty was definitely not down with watching The Little Mermaid.
Definitely not. She wants her Star Wars, which we haven't really come back to in a while, and maybe we need to.
Star Wars? Or Padawan?
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty good relationship there going with Star Wars for a bit, and kind of died off for us. Or maybe that was just that one episode.
Maybe the Force will awaken later.
Yeah, I'm still going with Die Hard.
Okay.
I'm just going to force it.
When she started that, you ever have the dream where you're not tall enough to reach? I thought, boy, this is where we're going to feel bad for her. And to me, that was turned on its head when she said, he ain't woke up yet. And I was like, oh, they played me so well that I was assuming that it was a story about her not achieving her best. And I thought, I'm a terrible person myself, right? Because I immediately assumed that story was going to be about her because she was opening up. And in reality, she was just cutting down her husband. Which It was a more satisfying turn, though, because it explains everything you need to know about even her, that she just, I don't know why yet, but she can't seem to tell him that it's not going to work.
Yeah, in multiple ways. Their marriage, his golf career.
Oh, probably.
This whole debt situation.
I feel he's going to have more later. I don't think he's on this show just to utter these few lines here and there, because he's been a much bigger part of other shows. When it comes to certain casting, I just have a hard time believing that they're going to get this person of a certain amount of, and not use them enough. It's kind of like when when the wrong person is on a Law and Order back in the day, you're like, oh, they're going to be the murderer. Why? Because they're just not the handyman. They're not.
I don't know. You don't think he's going to end up strapped to a treadmill and shot up?
I don't know. That was a Chump reference again?
That was, yeah.
Solid.
That was his demise.
That was Ace's Sharpie. Nice job. No, I just thought this was also what a great way for us to let Dorothy and Indira just stop and see eye to eye as two people. Just two people who are both trying to get to the heart of something, and she seemingly knows that there's more to the story that she doesn't know, which she gets a little later, but that she takes the time to sit down and hear her, right?
Yeah.
It's very telling of her to say that she may be law enforcement, but she's more than that as a person, and she can distill the facts and say, I need to hear what's going on with you, because I'll just flat out admit, she tells Scotty, half the county's looking for you, and all this crap, but she still takes the time to say, I gotta go do something, which, by the way, I think is Dot's callback to do not hunt the tiger unless you want the tiger catching you. I think that after 3 escapes, Dot's done. She's, instead of waiting for them to come to her, we're going to reverse all this shit now.
Okay, yeah, so now she's on the prowl.
She is done with this. She's going to hunt it down and figure this out. And that's why I thought it was interesting. And she's like, it's not safe here, or it's not safe for Scotty. I don't remember what she says. She says, safe from what? And what I thought was, I think it's not safe for Scotty to be around Dot, because Dot's going to do some shit I don't think you want to have your child see.
Totally. So maybe when Dot was in the hospital and she crossed that sign that said the bravest thing you can do is ask for help, maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe that wasn't her, fumbling and, getting caught and then just like running away and not knowing what to do in the situation. Maybe she knew she had to ask for help. She just needed the right. Yeah. She just needed it to be the right time and the right person, because this is where she's asking for help. She's actually doing it now.
Solid.
She's at Olmstead's house asking for Olmstead to watch Scotty while she goes on the prowl.
That's true. It really is. It has to be, dude. That has to be kind of the heart of that, is that for her to get anywhere, because you know what? The other thing is if you really get down to it, whether or not he's an unwitting accomplice, her true teammate, Wayne, is out of the game. He's on the injured reserve list right now. Because even though he's kind of goofing along, he still went to the gun store. He helped fit the house out. He helped everything. She's sort of lost her partner in crime. And this is also where we heard that she was 17, 15 when they took me in, she said.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know. And she also said they, she said they hit when it's going their way, they. And I thought, is she talking about men, or were there multiple people, or in general, or I don't know.
Was this some sort of arranged marriage? Was it something where maybe her parents died and then they like adopted her and then he married her?
Don't know. But nonetheless, the stage is set, and I'll be very curious to see what it's like for Dorothy / Nadine, now Nadine, now Dorothy.
Or is it Alice?
Alice. So yeah, let's go. She's Alice's Diner, right? Or Alice, the show about a diner. There's also a part in that scene where you can see when she's talking about that, she is teared up. She is, and they're interrupted, right? If you go right before they're interrupted, Lars comes in and is complaining about his golf swing. She was about to have a massive moment, and she's, of course, interrupted by a guy complaining about something so fucking dumb. He also realizes there's a lady in our house.
He also very obviously checks out Dot in front of his wife.
And
Indira.
she very much looks at him like, hey, douche. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that poor woman.
Yeah. That license plate dealer thing is a throwback to the original movie, if anyone didn't catch that, too. The DLR plate.
DLR.
So.
Oh, there was a Raising Arizona reference, too, we forgot to mention, between Lorraine and Olmstead.
If you don't care about the Easter eggs and the references, just watch the show. Don't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, Lorraine was talking to Deputy Olmstead and says something like, you're going to tell me, like, you're...
Yeah, what's the line from...
The line from Raising Arizona is, damn it, are you boys going to chase down your leads, or are you going to sit here at my place and drink coffee in the one house where you know my son ain't at?
Yes, that was the line. And it was when she was sitting across from Lorraine, right? Yep. And they're cutting to because in the background is Scotty shooting the hockey puck around out in the yard.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like maybe that's where we're at with this episode. I worry maybe we weren't catching enough, but sometimes it's exactly what it is. We had to get through a bunch of stuff, and not all of this isn't strange mystic man needs pancakes from bathtub or any of that. This is just, it's an escape show.
Sure.
It's a show about two gals exhibiting their best of what they're trying to do in light of being surrounded by a bunch of doofuses.
Yeah, so that's the theme, I think, for me for this episode, or one of them, is there was a repeated display of lack of authority between all of these doofus men characters. So we got Danish, the breakfast pastry man. He's not at the bar as the lawyer, as the legal representation for the deal with the bankers. He's disrespected by Tillman. He's clearly seen fighting with Olmstead in the background. His own security guard asks for his ID, which is hilarious. We got Gator, who's told to stay in the car, even though he's the lawman. He's the law, but not today. You're not the law today, son. Sorry, you're gonna have to sit this one out. You're benched. You've got Joaquin, who's also, we didn't even talk about how much of an aloof idiot he was, the federal agent in the hospital, and he's like thinking, oh, this is great. We found Dot / Nadine. And she's so thankful. She doesn't have to run anymore. We're here. We saved the day.
He's like, nailed it.
Yep. And, of course, he was dead wrong because he's an idiot. We got the other male nurse who is also a bumbling idiot. We've got Lars, who didn't realize two people were living in his house right under his nose. Just
notably
a lot of
absent
men.
From Idiot Male Show. Whitfar.
Yes, good call. Whitfar, notably absent from...
Because this doesn't have anything to do with him right now.
Yep, and we never saw Lorraine's husband. I forgot his name.
I wonder, are we going to see him ever again?
Good question.
My dangerous thought was, what we don't know about her is, did she marry into the money? She's the smart one, but she married into the money. I don't know. I just think that would be an interesting turn for her as somebody who's looking down on something. Like, we might find out that she herself once was something else and is now turned on her own thing. She married into something, and maybe that's what she feels Dot is doing, and she just doesn't want to. She's like, oh, it was fine for me but not for you, because there's a lot of that in this world.
That would explain her phony accent, her mid-Atlantic accent. She just took on this whole new, like, oh, I'm better than everybody else now. Look at all this that I got that I didn't actually earn. And now I'm pretending like I did.
Or it could be wrong. Could be completely wrong.
Could be.
She could actually be just a hardcore self-made billionaire. That's a real thing too.
We're often wrong.
Yes. What are you hoping for in the next episode? I haven't even looked at what the next show title is. Is there any male grab bag you want to throw out? Yeah, we do. We have to. Let's boop, 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 boop. Male grab bag to end the show. Let's talk about some fun folks, Sharpie.
And now a bulletin.
Mm-hmm. Who do you want to give a shout out to, Sharpie?
I thought we'd give a shout out to Deb M. She had some very good thoughts. Thank you, Deb, for the lengthy email. I read every word of it. It was amazing. Good insights there. She had the favorite thing that she said was talking about this overarching theme of just everybody being a little bit two-faced and the theme of the masks, right? We're seeing the Nightmare Before Christmas masks. Everybody's wearing masks. There's all these like two-sided people, and it's sort of just this theme of like who we are really, and like we're all kind of like masked ourselves. We're all kind of like putting thing in front of us, and maybe at times pretending to be somebody we aren't. And I thought that was a really good observation. I like that. It's simple and it's straightforward, and it's likely very accurate to what the writers were thinking.
I haven't forwarded you. We did get another email from Deb, and it's super fun. I got to read it, but she did say somewhere, this is just like extra stuff. She just said she's looking for our thoughts on episode 5, but she found a colleague of hers who watched the show, and she brought up the Nightmare Before Christmas and the Wizard of Oz things that we've been talking about, and evidently her colleague launched into a L. Frank Baum political commentary as it relates to the show. So it's not just us. It's not just us. And so I'm happy to know that there's other crazy people out there. I mean, and like for real, the Wizard of Oz, it's not a children's story. It's fun, but I don't know. And she did make a really great comment about like looking at things, and she said, I can kind of hear John Goodman in his voice saying to her, Deborah, you're out of your element. Shut the fuck up, Deborah. Just kidding. We do not mean that. Keep it coming. We can't mention everybody, but we love reading the stuff. There's a couple of people who I haven't even got through the emails to yet. But shout out to Torben. He'll eventually get to this. He's on episode 1. Thanks, Torben. Appreciate you from Denmark. We get email from everywhere, man.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Keep it coming.
Yeah, all I know is I saw an email from a gal named Kim, who I haven't had a chance to read her email yet. I'll probably read it tonight after I edit, but it's she's standing with a giant fake bull, and there's a picture of her, what I think is seemingly hugging the bull's anatomically correct scrotum. How about that? And I just that alone makes me like so excited to read the email. Because we have New Salem Sioux, right? You know New Salem Sioux?
Yeah, I've been there.
World's largest Holstein cow, and everybody's excited to see it, including my wife. And then when we got close, she's like, there are veins.
That's the most disturbing part of that cow.
Like it's close.
It's very veiny. It's very veiny. And it doesn't have to, because the rest is kind of cartoonish.
Yes, it's the places where they're choosing to be like super correct. Ooh, thanks.
We're going to put a bunch of big veins right here.
Yeah, on the udder and yep.
Well, just so you know, if you want Bill to read your email, make sure you're hugging giant bull testicles.
No.
That's the theme here. That's what we're learning.
Don't.
That's what you said.
There's no nutscaping. No. I love words. Words are great. Words are great. Oh, God, what have we done? Okay.
Beep, 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 beep. And this ends your bulletin.
Your bulletin from the grab bag. Thank you to everybody. Also, you know what? If you are enjoying the show, we will encourage you. Go out there. We would love for the show to grow. Rate us on, we're on Spotify. We're on all sorts of stuff. You can visit Fargo Talks Fargo and listen directly on our site. You can rate us on Apple Podcasts if that's what you're doing. Give us a star. Sure. Give us a rating. And if you hate us, that's fine too. Do that too. We get it all. We're fine. It's this. You can't put this out into the universe and not expect some criticism or pushback. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't be a dick about it.
If you happen to follow the Fargo TV subreddit, give us a shout out in the comments there.
Don't do it.
Because we're permanently banned from that subreddit for mentioning the podcast.
No, we aren't. You are.
Okay, I am.
Okay, well, anyway, things are weird. Let's wrap it up so that we can get to next week when you're going to be here in person. We hope everything works out, that we can record in person. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, well, until next time, Calgon, take me away.
Bye now.